Hey, Merry Christmas, everyone. Hey, so I will be talking a little bit on the mindset today, and then at the end of the session, I'll go more into the where everything's going as far as the industry and the remarketing. A few jokes, Christmas cheer. Did you hear about the man who stole the advent calendar? He got 25 days. I love this one. Why does the Christmas tree always look to the future? Because the present is beneath it. It's like
Great.
dad jokes. I see Alan shaking his head.
I
Um,
love it.
it's so good.
Didn't you have one more? What was the other one you shared earlier? I thought it
Oh,
was.
that was the Jedi one. How come the Jedi knew Santa was coming? He could sense the presence. So good, so bad. Another one, my wife really liked this one. Is what's every parent's favorite Christmas carol? Silent Night.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So Steve and I, we were at an event, or we were hanging out with a friend on the weekend, and a friend of ours, and he wrote this book, and his book, it did really well when he launched it. He got on the New York Times bestseller list. It was like number 2 on Amazon, and it did really well. Last year, he sold about 100,000 copies, and this year he said he's set to sell about 300,000 copies. And the cool thing about this story is that he did a really big push when he first launched the book. But he said what's happened now is that there's been a word of mouth groundswell that's taken over, where it's like as he's launched the book, it's taken onto a life of its own. And what's neat about that is it's really similar to how we grow our businesses. We and this is what this event is really about. It's about how can you generate and grow your database, but then take that database and turn them into a word of mouth and turn them into a referral engine and really grow your business way more than that. But then there's another side of Dan, which is I think really interesting. He didn't grow up in the easiest like world. If you, it's in his book, life wasn't easy for him. But one of the things is that if you discover Dan, you'll meet him. He really doesn't carry his past into his future. So he's very forgiving, and he also is all about reconciliation. So he's constantly inviting his family and different people to different things, and there's a mindset that he carries about success where he made a decision as to how he's going to view his future. And that future is the thing that he's moving himself towards. And what's neat about it is like Zig Ziglar talks about the fact that in a good market, there are people who are going to be winners. And in a bad market, there are people who are going to be winners. The choice, Zig Ziglar says, is attitude. It's like it's our attitude that sets our altitude. And as we go into 2024, how we approach 2024, how we approach our mindset, and how we approach things that we tackle, and that's really going to set what our altitude is in 2024. And there's a bunch of things I want to go into real quickly, talking about what success looks like from the mindset, and then we can go into there. So the key is that everybody here can have those same results. Like it's not exclusive to any person. Everybody can have a very amazing and incredible year. The fact is, we all have a potential. We all have, actually, I spoke about this a little bit with the team a week or so ago, but the key is we all have potential. We all have capability. We all have a destiny. We all have a plan and a purpose. But here's the kicker: the only person that can fulfill that purpose is me. The only person is that can fulfill my purpose. The only person that can fulfill your purpose is you. The only person who can play to your potential is yourself. And so as we go into 2024, this is a year, I think, about really stepping into potential, stepping into the capabilities that you were born with, that you're made with. You have these. But it's more than that. It's about unlocking what I believe are some of the mindset shifts that will allow you to step into that in a different way. So number one is it comes from a place of serving. So this is really, Albert Einstein is quoted as saying, try not to become a man of success, but become a man of value. And what he was saying there, and I think is really key, is that when we focus, as a person of success, and I see this with Dan and I see this with other people too, they make it about the other person. they make it about the how can I help that person be more successful? How can I serve those people? And as you're in real estate or as you're growing your business, you're thinking to yourself, how can I make the person in front of me be more successful? As soon as we switch that, we flip the script to how can I get more deals or how can I get more commissions? It becomes about me, and it has the opposite effect of what I want it to do. If I make it about the other person, what I am is I'm becoming magnetic and I'm really helping other people play to their best and I'm making it about them. And that's just principle number one, but it comes from a place of serving. Number two, do you guys know who Jocko Willink is? He wrote the book, what was his book? Extreme Ownership. He's a Navy SEAL and he's got this incredible story. But basically, when he had a pretty staggering career in the Navy SEALs. But when he first became a Navy SEAL, he said that he's on this new team and they're all in position. And I forget where he was serving, if it was Afghanistan or Iraq, but he's in a position and they're all looking through the scopes of the guns and they're like looking out in the field. And he steps back and he looks and he just stops looking through his scope and he sees what he realizes is there's something over here, but everybody was missing it. But being the new guy, he didn't want to say anything. So he's surely my commander is going to say something. He's going to make the call. But he looks over at his commander staring through the scope. And so he's, okay, that's not working. So he gets on the radio and he calls out the command. And everybody says, okay, roger that, go and do it. And he's thinking he's going to get reprimanded, but nobody says anything. They just stand up and they go execute it. And they moved in the position and it ends up being a good decision. Afterwards, Jocko said that his team leader comes up to him and says, hey, Jocko, step aside for a second. He's okay, that's it. Now I'm going to get in trouble. And his team leader says to him, he's like, hey, Jocko, good call. And the key there that he realized is, okay, it was a good call. But why is it that he was the only person to see the call? Is that sometimes we get so focused on the outcome that we have in our scope that we miss the opportunity that's happening all around us. Sometimes we get so focused on the thing that we're trying to do that we don't step back just to see the bigger picture for a moment. And what Jocko was talking about is sometimes we get attached to outcomes. Sometimes we get attached to the thing that we're trying to do. And if we step back, and it's no different than when you're serving a client, sometimes a client will fall in love with a specific listing. There's this one house, they really want it. But there might actually be another deal for them that's a better deal or a better fit. But if they can just see all the listings that are in front of them and they can step back emotionally from the one house, they'll actually make a better decision and they'll probably get a better deal because they won't be so tied to getting that one place. And it's the same thing for ourselves. And so he rises up in the ranks and he gets this place where there's this crisis and it's in his book. But basically there was a blue on blue situation, which is the worst case scenario that you ever want. And so it goes to so he's charged with investigating it. And he goes through investigating it and it's like, whose fault is it? And so finally they go into the military court and he's being asked like, okay, is it this guy's fault? Is it that guy's fault? Is it this guy's fault? And he's no, it's none of their fault. And so finally he's thinking about it and whose fault is it? And he's okay, it's my fault. And when he said those words, he thought that the consequence of saying it's my fault was going to be that he was going to get in trouble. But what the judge said is, okay, you know what? There's not good. So he never got in trouble. But what he realized in that moment is the reason he said it was my fault is that he was the only person in that room who was in the position to change anything about it. And so by saying it was his fault, what he was really saying is I'm putting myself in a position where I can actually change this situation from happening again. And that's the next big principle about leadership and success is that leaders focus on the things that they can have huge impact on and that they can change. And that's another thing you'll know about our friend Dan. If you talk to him about the news, he's got his blinders on. He is so focused about the vision and the direction and where he's going and serving others that it's like all that other noise, it doesn't affect him. It doesn't matter if the market's going up or the market's going down. It doesn't matter if anything changes. What matters is that he's got a goal and he's driving towards it. And so that's the shift I want you to think about. It's like focus on the things that are in your control, take ownership of those things because that's a very enabling place to be. You have so much potential, so much capacity. Now, the next thing is that strategy really matters. So you can do a lot of things, But once you unlock the serving and you unlock the fact that it's about others and you unlock the fact that you've got a lot of stuff that's in your hands, now what you do with your time is very important. We all have the same amount of time in a day, but we aren't using it all the same way. So what are we putting our time towards so that we're able to achieve the things that we have in our hopes and our dreams? So that we can create the lives that we have. Some people, it's, you want to put your kids through college. Some people, you have different dreams. But it's, what are you doing with your time, and are you being strategic with it? Because different strategies have different impacts. So strategy really matters. Now, I talked about the potential, like you have potential, you have purpose, you have a destiny. But here's another key piece, which is it's out of our hearts and out of our minds that things flow. And so what are we feeding into ourselves? And this kind of relates to what I just talked about, but where are we consuming? Where are we learning? Because learners are growers. What does Jennifer Salter say? She says, green grows, ripe rots, something like that. But it's true. It's like learners are growers. And those people who focus on growth material, who are consuming stuff that's growing, that is going to massively impact your success, because in the morning when you wake up, your mind is clear and fresh and you're excited and you're energized and you're going to run forward. You're not going to be focusing on the things that are outside of the control. You move a lot faster when you have a light backpack. And a light backpack means sometimes we get attached, like I talked about outcomes, but sometimes we get attached to achievements. And attached to achievement is just as big as attached to an outcome, because sometimes we'll have an achievement and it'll go really well and we're energized, and sometimes we have an achievement and it doesn't go very well at all. And so I train cycling all the time, and I'm in these races, and as I train in cycling, I'm getting older, and so my body isn't adapting the way it did when I was younger. And so I have to work harder, and if I get sick, it takes a little longer to recover. And there's times where I'll go and I'll enter a competition and I won't perform at what I feel I should have been able to perform at. And it sucks, right? Like you put all this work and time into training, and then you have this experience. But then the important thing is, what's the emotional significance that I'm placing on my performance? Am I comparing myself to others, or am I just simply realizing that this is part of the process of getting better? And I think that's a really important fundamental thing, is removing our sense of achievement from an emotional standpoint. And so it is just what it is. It's a milestone along the road. And the next day I wake up, I train, I go forward. The next day I wake up, I train, I go forward. And then my body gets better and I perform better on the next race. And that's exactly the kind of thing. And then last winter, I went through this exact experience, and I ended up not only hitting a personal goal, but our team ended up winning the playoffs. And so it just shows like the importance of, no matter what it looks like in the moment, just keep pushing forward and choosing that. And then Wendy, I think we were on the podcast, I've interviewed you, I think it's coming out soon, next week or so, but we talked about energy, and what is the energy that we're creating and having on the space around us? Are we a magnetic person? Are we a person that is people want to be around? Are we a person who's full of life? And that's another really important question. Now, I think everybody in this room is. I think that you guys are all like amazing people, tons of fun. You guys wake up, you're and a lot of you're carrying these immense, like tremendous challenges that you're pushing yourself beyond. And the amount of character and discipline and perseverance that you have is staggering. It is truly staggering, and it's awe-inspiring, actually. And I can shout out people here like Hilaire, like the fact that you just get up and go every single day is amazing. Anna, like it's Amy, like you're all these like amazing individuals that you just choose to go and run and pursue the dream and the destiny in spite of the challenges that we face on a day-to-day basis. And I think, so when you think about leadership, you got to let go of your past so you have a light backpack so you can take hold of your future. And that's the thing that if you can understand these things that I shared here, it's going to change. It changes everything. Success is inevitable according to the people who have the attitude of gratitude. And if you just run after, and these aren't just statements, these are truths. And now I want to ask you another question, which is, how many people, think about this for a second, how many people are in your market right now? Like in your city or your area that you serve, how many people? Like, is it 4,000? Is it 20,000? Is it 100,000? Some of you, it's 1 million. Like, how many people are in the markets that you serve right now? And of those markets, how many people are waking up who are going to be waking up today, tomorrow, and this weekend thinking about the fact that they need to move, relocate, buy a house, or sell. Right now, how many people are waking up thinking about that? There's a lot of people. So the thing is how it's your job to find those people and to serve those people. And how you go about your day, the character you develop in the hard times will dramatically help them in achieving the goals and the successes that they have in their hearts. And then those outcomes will be that you will have more and more referrals. So there are more than enough deals for everyone. There's more than enough in this world for everyone. But the biggest thing I want to leave you with is just there are people waking up, and there's like a lot of good news. Like we woke up this morning and the interest rates have just dropped. That's a good news scenario. That's amazing. That's Christmas cheer right there. But you have a potential and you have a purpose, and that is the most important thing, is that nobody's going to achieve our potential or purpose except for us. With that, Marcus, I give it back to you, and I'm excited to hear these brilliant minds.